Hello, hello.
I like my friends to be on time.
I would be rather hypocritical if that was a requirement for me. I feel if I'm there within 5 minutes, that counts as on time. Well, it is. No, I've been making a lot of new friends, and that is the thing you have to learn is like, is this the friend that I invite half an hour before I want them to be there so they'll get there 5 minutes late? Yeah, no, like, we know how it is. My mom was late to her own wedding, which was at her house. She was in her house, late to her wedding. She's got a gift, man. Yeah, no, like, that's talent. So this is why my 5 minutes late is an accomplishment, because those are my genetics. That's my history. So I do not judge those of you who are late. I'm with you. I get it. So we don't want to lock folks out, but also we are next to the jam space, so we'll juggle that as best we can. How we time? 2 minutes. Is that long enough for me to sing the Jeopardy song? That's 30 seconds. Oh, never mind. No concept of time. Maybe that's part of my problem. A little bit faster, start spinning in circles. We could have a circle pit happening. Be very exciting. The only mosh pit experience I have was accidentally being in a circle pit when someone was playing Bubble Bobble, because I cannot not move when Bubble Bobble happens. And apparently, if you run around in a circle, that's a circle pit. That's a pit. I didn't know. It was very exciting. It's also not something you do a lot as a classical musician. My life is enriched by MAGFest. Okay, that's true, and I am kind of in a symphonic metal band, but I grew up on the classical side of things. So, yeah. Take a metal band, add flute, it becomes symphonic metal, right? That's how it works? Or cello. Oh, I love cello. How good choice. We got 1 minute. 1 minute. And we got folks coming in, so the door remains open. Excellent. Excellent. Oh, I'm so happy to see all of your faces. Hello, everybody. Yay, look at that. You said hello to somebody you don't know, except you. I know you. You don't count. But hello, everybody else. And hello to Brian. I'm sorry, you realize you're a person I know in the front row. I can pick on you. Those are the rules. Hi, everybody. Come on in. Still got time? I could do the Jeopardy song now. I think I've got 30 seconds, but I won't. I'll spare you. Do it. Oh, man. Okay, only if it's a sing-along. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Okay, I think actually we should go ahead and call it then. It is 3:30. Would my folks in the back mind closing the door most of the way? If you don't mind. Thank you so much. I'm sorry to volunteer you to do it, but this way I don't have to run back and forth, which I'm not the best at. To everybody, hello, welcome. You might have gathered, I am Lauren. I am your host. If you are here for Overcoming Shyness and Making Friends, you are in the right place. You'll notice MAGFest 2025, that is where and when we are. I have done this panel before. If you were here last year, you will recognize some of the slides. My policy is that even if we've seen something before and worked on something before, it never hurts to go over the basics. And this panel in particular covers several different things. So if there's something we go over and you already know it, that's awesome. We are all at different levels and different stages, and we will hopefully get to something that will be useful for you. So I'm excited to be doing this, very happy that MAGFest is allowing me back. And I will do everything I can to make this as useful and hopefully fun as I can. Can you hear me if I do this? Okay, sweet. All right, so before we dive in, is that Shredder? I'm sorry. That's amazing! Slightly derailed by the presence of Shredder. Amazing. Okay, well, I am not Shredder. I'm Lauren the Flute. You may be wondering, why is this person well, okay, you see me talking, you probably figure why I'm here to talk about talking. This is a thing I do. Shockingly, I am outgoing. I am chatty, and I am an extrovert. You've probably picked up on that. But what you might not know is I actually have really bad social anxiety. which I imagine a lot of us do. So people tend to think of social anxiety as only being the territory of introverts. There are actually several flavors of social anxiety. And so what this means is for those of you who are the introverted flavor, I don't know exactly what it's like to be in your shoes, but I have some idea, and some of the things that work for me may work for you. And so that's where I'm coming from. I'm not a person who was born being like the most gifted conversationalist in the world, never doubted myself or anything. I'm a person who has had to work at this and has struggled with it. And so the things that I'm giving you are tools to use. I love people. I love to talk to them. I love to ask them questions. I love to figure out how they tick. But I used to have plenty of awkward conversations of my own, and it was something I've had to work on because it is a learned skill. And that is the premise of this entire panel, is that talking to people, socializing with people, having conversations, meeting people, and making friends, these are all skills that we can work on. So this is the agenda. We're going to tackle things with 3 components. Again, some of these may be more relevant to you than others. Again, I'm going to be doing a lot of RPG metaphors here. So as long as we're all okay with like the idea of experience gaining, getting levels, experience, skills, okay, good. So the first part will be overcoming shyness, that initial hesitation that makes it hard to even like get into the conversation. Then we're going to talk about conversations and how to have them. Then we're going to move on to, okay, you've talked to people, what now? And then we're going to end with a fun assignment. Yay, homework. Who here has played any of the Mother games? Yes, my people. I'm wearing my Lucas shirt. So this is a reference to Earthbound if you don't know. Like I said, I'm going to be comparing a lot of things to the gaining of skills in video games because that is my world and your world, and so we can speak the same language about it. So as I've been saying, talking to people is a skill. If you were putting together your character sheet in a tabletop game, you could put talking to people or conversation on that, and you could then, give yourself points in it and get better as you gain experience, which means you have to practice. We are gamers. We practice things. We are people. We have practiced things. Sometimes we drive. You are not born in a car knowing what to do, or at least if you are, I haven't met you. This is one of my pride and joy accomplishments. I'm a little out of practice, so I can't do this now, but I was not able to do a full perfect combo when I first started DDR. I can promise you that. I mean, it is so good, so good. This is literally the game of throwing yourself at the wall over and over again, learning a little bit each time until you go from, how on earth am I gonna ever beat, there's no way, I can't possibly beat this boss, to like beating the boss, and then going back and beating the boss in your next playthrough without having the gear and doing it because you got player skills. So we do this with a lot of things in our lives, things that are very hard, and they get less hard. You can grind for experience. Just as you do in video games, you can do that when it comes to socializing, interacting with people. I encourage you, unpopular suggestion. When you order pizza or something like that, or if you need a book from the library, you probably use an app, probably try to use the internet. We could use the telephone or talk to a librarian in person. I know that these things, we are millennials, we do not like the telephone, it is not our friend, but it is a safe, predictable, scriptable conversation that we can use to grind for levels. Are we gonna make best friends with the pizza guy? No. Well, maybe you could, but what you get out of that is you get that bit of experience grinding. You can say, well, I was really scared of the telephone, but I've now talked on the telephone enough times, I'm no longer scared of the telephone. It will happen, I promise. It happened to me, it could happen to you. But in order to do that, we have to take risks, and risks are scary. I am not even a recovering perfectionist, I am a perfectionist. I don't like taking chances of making mistakes, but you have to do that. Low-level characters have to get past those initial encounters with slimes before you can actually make any progress. So, in this room, this is a safe tutorial zone. Nobody's gonna get mad at you. Nobody's gonna judge you. Even if you stop and you say, okay, can I start this conversation over? You are allowed to do that. There are no game overs in this room. So let me give you permission to take the chance and do the thing that scares you. Now, obviously, you know your limits. If there is something you are genuinely not comfortable with, do not let me push you past your comfort zone too far, but you are in a safe place. We are all here because we looked at something that said overcoming shyness and said, I want to do that, which means we all get it. So you are among your peers, and we are all on the same page. We are in the same party. Now, you may be saying, oh, but I can't do that. No. You are not allowed to self-talk in a negative way. If at any point in this room or at MAGFest, that little gremlin starts telling you like, oh, I'm so bad and I don't like, no. Imagine a chibi Lauren appearing on your shoulder. How dare you talk about my friend like that? No, do not, I'll know. So we're not gonna do that. Instead, I know it's a bit much to say, it would be too much if I said you need to think you're wonderful and amazing and have confidence if you are a person who struggles with self-confidence. So what I'm asking is not to go from negativity to positivity, but to take that first step of negativity to neutrality. Instead of making judgments against ourselves, if we can try to neutrally make observations, so instead of saying I suck, which is not helpful and doesn't accomplish anything, if you say this is something that's hard for me, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you, and it didn't mean that you made a mistake because of some sort of inherent failure. It's just a step you need to work on. And the whole thing here is that you can work on it and get better at it. And if we think of ourselves as bad and stuck, that doesn't leave room for us to level up. So I'm asking if you can say, that didn't go the way I wanted it to. You can say, this is really hard. You don't have to have false positivity, but I do ask you to try as best you can not to be negative. If that is hard, try to think about, how's this? If you do not have faith in yourself, let me have faith in you. I have talked to many people in the world, and what I have come to believe is that every person in the world has something about them that is fascinating and clever and unique and inspiring. And there is something about each of you that there are people in the world who would think is the coolest thing in the world. The things that you get excited about, there are people in the world who want to get excited about that with you. So try as best you can. If you have those feelings of self-doubt, try to remember that we are often our own worst critics. We are not always reliable narrators. And if we make mistakes, those do not define us. They are one action that happened, and we are only human. We can make mistakes, we can move on, and we can get better. So please try your best to accept that somebody is saying that you are worthwhile, you are special, you are wonderful, and there are people who want to be your friend, and you deserve to have friends. And I know that it sounds really trite when I say something like that, but I mean it with my whole heart. So I'm asking, at least in these four walls, that you try to believe that, or at least have faith that I believe it, and hold it secondhand. That's good too. If the negativity spiral comes out, I've been there. Before you start spiraling down, we're going to parry and do a counterattack. When you start feeling negative, find a way to turn that around. If you can't say something positive about yourself, you're talking to somebody. If you start saying bad things about yourself, you're gonna feel bad and they're gonna feel sad because nobody likes to see somebody feeling bad. So instead, find something that you genuinely believe that you can compliment them on, something positive you can say. Use that as an excuse to inject positivity. Things are hard for a lot of people right now, and now of all times, we really need we need joy, we need happiness, we need light, we need forgiveness. And so, can we try our best, when you feel those darker thoughts creeping in, use that as a sign that let's see if we can put some joy and some brightness instead. So, that's my suggestion. It is actually effective if you feel the spiral, even if it feels a bit artificial. That's fine. We are practicing skills, and so these things don't have to feel natural. You will train yourself into new pathways and new ways of thinking about things. So, I can't promise that I can cure your social anxiety in like 10 minutes of talking, but this is a few things that I hope you can hold on to, a few tactics that might help get you past those first hurdles, or at the very least in this space. Like I said, these four walls, this is our safe space. So let's talk about conversations. Second part. I like The Sims. I'm not great at it, but it's really fun. I mean, you guys, a lot of you know RPGs. There are a lot of different games that have dialogue trees, and you pick different options and different things happen, and you start thinking, what will this character respond well to? If you play Disco Elysium, you can have a conversation that is a boss fight. It's very exciting. So if you ever see people talking around you and you feel like there is a dance that you don't know the steps to, that's the best metaphor I can think of. Like, there are actually steps, and you can learn them. And eventually, as you practice conversation this way, you'll start doing it more naturally because you'll have more familiarity. So you can actually script your conversations. It's okay, you're allowed. If you put me in a situation where I know what I'm doing and I'm talking to people that I understand, you will think that I am absolutely confident and comfortable. If you put me in a situation that I don't know, I will be as flat-footed as anyone. Because when you know what you're doing and you have this set of skills and this experience to pull on, you feel confident and you can move forward. So what we're going to do is try to build some potential scripts, some directions that we can take in conversation that will hopefully be a starting point, a foundation. It is allowed. I mean, I literally, when I was a kid, my parents made me order pizza if we wanted pizza. So I had a sticky note by the phone. I scripted the conversation. What were they going to ask and what do I say? Because I hate not knowing what I'm doing. It's okay. You can do that. You can practice in the mirror. You can practice in your hotel room. If you think I wasn't upstairs practicing this panel, like I absolutely have run through this. It's totally okay. It feels a little goofy, but then we get better. If you say words with your actual human mouth, where actual human ears could hear you, you get in the habit of doing it. It actually works. It's like beating up a dummy in a video game. So starting conversations, the first part. You can plan this in advance. You see a cool person across the room at MAGFest, and you're like, I want to talk to that cool person. There is not a timer going down, generally. Why did you want to talk to that person? That can give you a good starting point. You can think to yourself, what do I want to say? How am I going to say it? You can even kind of mutter under your breath if you want to, just to practice it. Again, that can actually help. Complimenting somebody, pointing out something that they have control over, is generally not a good idea to be like, gosh, you're so pretty, because people don't have, like, that's not an expression of who they are. That's something that they were born with. But if you can say, I love your sense of style, that's a cool jacket, I love that video game, something like that, something that you have a question about. What band is that shirt from? It's a really cool shirt. These are all like predictable, scriptable, entry-level beginnings to conversations that you can try. And here at MAGFest, like, we are nerds. We like to wear our flavor of nerd on our persons, and that is fantastic for learning how to talk to people. We are signaling to each other, I love this thing. Please come tell me that you love this thing, and we can geek out together. And then once you get that first step going, it kind of winds up being a bit like Pong. If you ask questions, you want to know about this person. I feel like sometimes when we're nervous, our nervous thing is to just kind of info dump about ourselves. Try to be aware of that tendency and instead think about it like, I wanted to talk to this person because I thought they seemed interesting. Now I want to know about them. So now you are doing investigation. Not quite an interrogation, but ask them. If they say something, listen carefully. It's just like in a game where as they say something and there's like a word that's bolded in a different color and then that unlocks more dialogue options, that actually works in real life too. If they say something, you're like, wait, I've been there. It's another entry point to keep the conversation going. Picking up on what they're saying and listening to what they're saying as a way to interact with them. But it's also okay, like, as long as we're not just info dumping about ourselves, like, you are worth hearing from. You are somebody they would be interested in too. So please don't be afraid to also weigh in with your thoughts, your opinions, your experiences. You can bounce these questions back and forth, getting to know each other until something feels a bit more comfortable and you have a bit of a rapport with the person. This is something I asked people for questions about what I should talk about, and somebody pointed out, like, what happens if you're having a conversation and then you suddenly feel anxiety because they are staring at you, staring right into your soul? Okay, I understand this. I have some people looking at me right now. You might think I'm looking at your faces. I am looking over your heads. If you feel a lot of pressure, that's a thing you can do. You can also take a breath. It's okay. You're allowed to stop and take a breath if you need one. Remember, they are listening to you and staring at you because they want to hear what you have to say, or they wouldn't be doing it. So they are not criticizing you or judging you if you are a person who struggles with that kind of self-doubt. So if you can, reassure yourself that they want to hear you and it's okay. If you're feeling too uncomfortable, volley it back at them. Ask them a question. Let them take the spotlight for a little while. But what if you're not sure this person wants to continue talking to you or not? Because this is something that I think, especially if you tend to second guess yourself, you're not sure about. None of these are guarantees. I do not have telepathy. If you do, maybe you have an advantage over me. But these are things we can kind of go off of. If a person is just kind of standing around looking at the room, that's a good sign that if you go up and say hi, like, they will probably be available to talk to you. If they make eye contact with you, that usually means they're interested in talking to you. If they don't make eye contact eye contact with you, that doesn't mean anything because there's a lot of reasons why. So this is only if the positive, it means something. If not, there's nothing you can read from it, if that makes sense. Because I know a lot of people have a hard time with eye contact. I sometimes do too. If they're smiling, take it at face value. You have no reason to believe that they're not genuinely happy to hear from you. If they're like projecting interest in you, it's usually a good sign. If they start asking you questions, that means they want the conversation to keep going. So you can have faith in yourself. You have evidence that they want to talk to you. Maybe a sign to step away if they are kind of physically turning away. If they keep looking at their phone, that's usually an excuse to get out. If they look like they're looking for someone else, they may very well be, again, wanting to get out of the conversation. If their body language gets more withdrawn, that sort of thing, it's a good sign to give them the opportunity to leave. It may just be that they're getting shy, but they really want you to keep talking to them, so you can't know. You cannot read their mind, but it's a good opportunity in those cases to see if it's time to end the conversation. If that happens, if a conversation is not going the way you want it to, this does not mean that there is anything wrong with you. It does not mean that you did something wrong. It does not mean nobody wants to be your friend. For all you know, they could have a migraine. Maybe they had a tragedy happen. Maybe you remind them of their like girlfriend's ex-brother's second wife who kicked their puppy. You cannot know. And so as best you can, just try to remember that if that happens, this conversation wasn't the right conversation for them, and this person may not be the right person for you, but there will be other people and other conversations that will be. So do not take it personally as much as you can. And I know that's hard. If you have rejection sensitivity to dysphoria, yeah, I get it, it hurts, but try to tell yourself as much as you can, it's not you, it's not you. So we're ending conversations, things are going great. This is actually the part that I have the hardest time with myself. I've had to work on this one, because it's so awkward. What do I do? What do I do? The best thing that I have come up with is ending with like a friendly appreciation of them, and then an excuse, and then you run away. So this has been lovely. I've really enjoyed talking to you. I hope I see you at MAGFest, but I have to run because Bit Brigade is on in 10 minutes. See you later. That sort of thing, again, it's scripted. I told you what pieces were going to be in my closure, and then I said it, and it fit that exact order, but it sounded natural when I said it, didn't it? Like, that sounds like a thing that a person would say. You can steal that. I give it to you. You have my permission to take that. It works very well. There are plenty of things you can do. If you really enjoy talking to somebody, you can say, do you mind if we keep in touch? Offer them to exchange Discord information, or there is actually a guidebook app messaging feature. That sort of thing can be like a good, like, safe way to see whether you feel comfortable with somebody before giving actual personal information. If someone says, I'd rather not, they have their own boundaries. It has nothing to do with you, and it's not a judgment thing. So, and that's another phrase you can use. If somebody asks for information that you don't want to share, you can just say, no, thank you, I'd rather not. I'm too private for that. It's an excuse. They don't know if it's true or if you just don't want that person. It's fine. And that way you can kind of safely respect their comfort while also potentially reaching out to another prospective friend. And whether things go well or not, whether you have a great time or it didn't go the way you wanted it to, whether you have friends that you're going to go with the rest of MAGFest with, or you're going to try to find the next group, either way you have gained experience. And that is a thing to remember anytime. Don't feel down on yourself if you didn't manage to successfully make a best friend in this panel. Do remind yourself you are gaining experience. You will see the benefit of it if you keep at it. You have to keep doing it, but it will actually come together. Everything counts. So I told you, I will say if you want to be a lurker and you do not want to participate, I do not want to push anyone past their comfort zone. So if you don't want somebody to talk to you, maybe like signal or just shake your head. And please respect if somebody shakes their head, that means that they don't want to participate. And if you are one of those people, what I would suggest you do is you picture in your head what this conversation would go like, if that's the level that would be helpful to you. But for everybody, I would like for you to turn to somebody sitting next to you or near you, and I want you to ask them these questions and just do a little bit of preliminary conversation. And if you want to say hello to this person and this person, wonderful, twice as much experience. So go for it.
Lauren, I have a question for you actually. The Unconventional Night album that you're part of, is that still around? Because I went looking for it and I couldn't find it. Great.
But you can pirate it. Archive.org. Reach out to me and I'll send you the link.
Alright, I bought it a while ago and I was trying to send it to someone else. Yeah. So I still have the raw files. I don't want to just like send them to someone if I have to like that. Great. I really like that one. I just wish that I think it's good. Like, I like how they can use that to find something. Probably the Road to May. There's like 60 songs in there, and I like most of it. So. All right.
How are we doing, folks? I'm going to go ahead and ask you to wrap it up for now. So if we could keep our... Look at yourselves. Okay, this is my favorite thing about this panel, is how many of you would have expected that if you were turned loose to talk to strangers, someone was going to have to shush you to get you to stop? And yet, look at you. You have the power to be an uncontrollable chatterbox, just like me. Yes! I feel like I have done my job here. You did great. Yeah, sorry. So we did great. You did fantastic. Are we feeling pretty good? Are we feeling like we can do this? Excellent. Yes, give yourselves a round of applause. You deserve that, because I spoke to several people who were like, I was anxious and I'm doing the thing. That's fantastic, and that's the first step to being able to do the thing more and more and more. And that's exactly what we want. So we're going to move into the third component of this, because I think we're about ready, and there will be more opportunity to chat. So if you want to catch back up with the friends that you just made, you will have an opportunity to. But we're going to talk about exactly that. Making friends, because some people are at the point where like they have no problem saying hello, they can carry a conversation, but what do we do now? I have some advice. If this is hard for you, and especially if this has gotten harder for you the past few years, you are not alone. There is a big problem with isolation and loneliness right now, and there are a lot of people who are looking for friends and not quite sure what to do. The upside of this is that there are a lot of people who want to be friends with you. And you can find them, and they will be so excited to have a new friend, just as excited as you are. So don't feel like there is something wrong with you if you're struggling with this. A lot of people are. I am a very chatty, outgoing person, and I have been working for the past couple of years to rebuild friendships, because it is hard. It is hard out there. So this is what I've been trying to do, and I've been talking to friends and looking things up, because I'm a person who tries to solve problems when I run into them. Here's some advice if you want to make new friends. Where do I find people? If you are an online person, which I think I can probably assume most of us are, there are a lot of lovely Discords that are either based on your area, if you want to meet up in person, or based on your interests, or based on your interests in your area. My sister's a Yu-Gi-Oh card person, and there's a Yu-Gi-Oh card group in her area, and she gets together with them several times a month. So whatever your nerdy interest is, I bet you can find your people. There's also a thing called Meetup.com, which is where a whole bunch of different groups based around interests or activities exist. You can probably find something you're interested in. You can also sign up for classes. Take an art or dance class. I signed up for HEMA fencing. I'm not very good. In fact, I would say I'm terrible, but it doesn't matter because my classmates, my group mates are arguing about how good or bad the fighting in The Princess Bride is. And at the moment that happened, I was like, yeah, these are my people. I want to be a red mage, and so do you. So there are things out there that you might find interesting that you might not expect. If you play D&D, or if you play board games, oh man, if you play board games, I do not, but everyone else in my life does, and there is so much out there for you that is structured, that already exists, that welcomes drop-in people. And next thing you know, you're playing games with people and laughing and joking, and then you want to hang out with them later. There are also one-on-one friendship making apps. They're like dating apps, but they don't suck. I've actually had good luck on Bumble BFF. I love to bake. I have my baker friend. We get together. She baked my birthday cake last year because we managed to make friends. The thing about that's a bit tricky is that there's a little more pressure on you to keep the conversation going if it's one-on-one. So if you're at the level where that's comfortable, go for it. I can chat with people. I'm fine. If not, one of these group activities may be easier for you. My advice, do not burn yourself out. This is a big list. If you try to do all of this all at once and you're like, I joined 5 meetup groups and 3 new Discords and also signed up for a class and also did, I'm just exhausted thinking about it. So pick a couple and see how they go for a couple of months. And if you're not feeling it, pick a couple more. But give yourself some time to see how it is, because it takes a little while, you know. If you join a group that meets weekly, give yourself a month or two, and you'll generally get a vibe like, do I like this place or not? Do I think I could fit in? There are more options if that doesn't work, but that way you can really take a chance and not stress out about it. Remember that friendship is a valuable thing. It is not secondary to dating. It is important. If you're a person who is feeling that loneliness and that isolation, I strongly recommend focusing on building up your friendship base. If you are looking to date, the more friends you have, the more likely it is that you're going to meet your next partner through them. So just try to build those friendships and value people for who they are. I would ask in this room, please do not flirt with people. Please do not pursue dating in this room. We are doing friendship. This is friendship tutorial, just to keep everyone comfortable. So okay, great. You found some friends. You like them. You hit it off. You're ready for the next step. How do we hang out with friends? My advice, especially with newer friends, is plan an activity. You might have noticed when I talk about the meetup groups and I talk about classes, there's this thing we can do together. Putting a bunch of people in a room and being like, now talk to each other right now, can be kind of a really stressful environment. But if we're doing a thing together, that thing takes a lot of the pressure off of us. So here are some things you can do depending on your interests. Games, movies, cooking, baking, concerts. We've got a few of those, I've heard, at MAGFest, maybe. Escape rooms. There's a lot of things out there. If you are still getting to know somebody for your safety and theirs, it's generally best to start with a public space. That's why these are largely things that you can do, activities that you go out and do. That is a comfortable thing, especially for marginalized people, for women and non-binary folks. Just as a safety thing, please do respect if you invite someone over and they are not comfortable. Again, it's not personal. It may simply be their boundaries and their safety. Once you get to know each other better, absolutely, I would suggest starting with a group that you then invite to your house just to make sure that it is as safe as possible. Safety is very important. Comfort is important. We value the people around us and what their limits are. But next thing you know, you have a birthday party coming up next week, and there's friends from several different groups coming over. It's very exciting. One of my goals was this year I want to have friends at my birthday party because I moved to a new country, and I'm going to have it. But it took practice and work, but it can happen to you too. If there is somebody in your group who is quieter, this was actually recommended to me by one of my dear friends who is on the quieter side, who was like, I sometimes wish I could be included in the conversation, and I'm a little shy about sticking my foot out there. If you are at the level of friendship where you can be the person to help them not be so shy, wouldn't that be cool? You can do that. You have the power. So if there's that person and you notice it, you can reach out and be like, hey, what do you think about this? Pull them in. I wouldn't put them on the spot and be like, gosh, you've been quiet for a while, because, oh no. But you can kind of privately be like, hey, I've noticed that it seems like you've been a little bit sitting on the outside of conversations. Do you want to be pulled in more? Because it may be that they just like to listen. I've had friends like that. But then you can confer with them, know what their comfort is, and bring them in. And then you get to feel cool. They get to be included. Everybody's happy. And I love that. That's a good outcome. And just remember, when you go to these activities, when you sign up for these groups, there are people who are actively looking for friends. So you are going to find people who maybe don't know how to make friends, maybe they do, but they were looking for group just as you are looking for group, and you can look for group together. Like it is a good environment for that. So we're coming up, actually, I'm doing good on time. Okay, so I've got 2 slides, and I'm gonna flip between them because I wanna give this information to you first, and then I'm going to give you your assignment, and then I'll put this back on the screen after a few minutes. But Last year, people were like, Lauren, how do we reach out to you with questions? I am Lauren the Flute everywhere, because I play flute. I will be singing with martial art on Saturday. Feel free to reach out to me if you've got questions. I will also be here when people are talking if you want to ask questions one-on-one. I can't promise I will answer every question at MAGFest, but I will try to answer every question when I can and do my best to help. So I left my neon green lanyards in my room, but I'm going to have them on me later if you see me. My thing with that is they're not super easy to see, but we're going to have some like catch-up regatherings, and people who have these, if you think you are high level and you want to tank for the lower level people, come see me, get a neon green, and then if you're lower level, these are your tanks. They are saying you can come and talk to me, you can practice. I say it's okay. So I want to try to give you these opportunities to continue throughout MAGFest. So there is a quest board on the MAGFest Discord that has a looking for group like in the description. So if you're like, hey, I want to go out to eat in half an hour, is anyone free? I'm going to go to do this. I can't promise that people will take you up on it, but somebody probably will. And next thing you know, you've got a group of people you don't know, and you can know them. So I would recommend that. And then I'm going to have these informal meetups by the gazebo. These are 15 minutes before a Belvedere show starts. So we've got about 15 minutes that we can talk and practice talking. And then when the music starts, depending on how you feel, if you're like, I need a rest, you can go listen to some soothing music, or you can keep talking. So this is when I'm planning it, because this is when I'm able to be there for about 15 minutes or so to get things started. And again, I will try to get my people with the neon green. And so if you want to continue getting to know people, these are people who are saying, we are open to this, we want to learn this, we want to practice this. So this is, you can talk to anyone at MAGFest, and chances are we've got things in common, but you guys are all in the same tutorial level. So you are absolutely on each other's side, and you can be confident that you can practice with each other. So please join us again. I will put this on the screen again in a few minutes, just so that this is our closing screen. But for now, who's ready for the work? You want to talk to each other again? I know you. I saw you. I had to hush you. It took me like a minute to get you quiet. So I think you're ready. This is your assignment. If you can, but I will say if you find somebody and you just really hit it off and you don't, I will not be grading. This is not bingo or a pop quiz, but if you need something to start a conversation, find these 8 people and see if you can get everybody. So go ahead, stand up, mingle, talk to each other. If you're not comfortable with that, but you want to talk to me, I will be here. You can also share cat photos. Yes, yes. And if you see somebody just looking around, and you are just looking around, one of you can say hello to the other, see how that goes.